Business rights group Sakeliga is taking legal action against government and the Northwest municipalities. They say even though businesses are paying rates and taxes, they're not receiving basic services like water and electricity. The group represents more than 12,000 businesses across the country. Let's speak to Sakeliga's CEO, Piet le Roux, now to find out more about this court action. Mr. le Roux, thank you so much for your time on the lead this afternoon. So around 12,000 businesses in towns across the country are heading to court. How have their businesses been interrupted by the service delivery failures at local government?
Terribly so. Of the 270 odd municipalities around the country, many are in disarray. Dozens are insolvent, and others don't even have basic financial administration systems in place. All that makes for an environment in which it becomes impossible to do business, in which the cost of doing business rises dramatically, the ability to employ people or even just keep operating or even perform maintenance on your existing business infrastructure in town becomes very difficult, and you start moving to metropolitan areas or to other municipalities. And so it's a huge disincentive, and we've had a lot of problems at local government level.
And who exactly are you litigating against? Are you specifically going against the Minister of COGTA, or is it government in general?
Well, I'm afraid that the cascading failures we've seen involves multiple levels of government. If it was only a local government failure, it could have been resolved with appeals to provincial level or to National Treasury. But I'm afraid that constitutionally and in various statutes like the Municipal Finance Management Act and other legislation, there not only has been many opportunities where government could have intervened at national level or provincial level in local government, but there were many times where they were obligated to do so, but failed to exercise their duties of care and intervene at a local level before things reach crisis levels as it has reached. So I'm afraid that our respondents in this case includes not only the local government level or the provincial level, but also the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, because it is a failure at multiple levels of government.
Yeah. The Public Finance Management Act, Mr. le Roux, allows government to intervene in the administration of these municipalities at local level. In fact, government is mandated to intervene. So why haven't they? I mean, Astral Foods took government to court, which led to the Lekwa municipality in Mpumalanga being put under administration. From your advantage point, what's making it difficult for government to intervene and do what it is mandated to do when these municipalities are struggling?
Yeah, look, I'm not in a position to speak for government for why they're not doing what is obviously required, not only by good sense and the situation, but also constitutionally as they are obligated. I'm afraid that it's hard for me to explain exactly why, but we're certainly seeing a non-responsiveness on government until it's too late. For example, in this case of Clover, it's certainly so that Clover has many considerations for why it would be moving business, but it's undeniably so that the unfavorable business climate in Lichtenburg, in the Tsobotla municipal area, has to be a huge contributing factor. And so I'm afraid that multiple appeals to all kinds of levels of government, not only from our organization, but from private businesses. You've mentioned the case of Astral and Lekwa municipality, and also other towns, other groups. The government cannot say that they have not known. And so at this stage, it's not up to us anymore to try and explain why government isn't intervening. We've decided to ask the court to provide a judgment that forces not only government to intervene, but provides the necessary interim relief.
Yeah, you know, and it's been really years of us witnessing the collapse at local government. I imagine, Mr. le Roux, the impact is even on investment, new businesses that are not coming in anymore. But I need to ask you, as we wrap up, I need to ask you about the argument that municipalities may have. They may argue that, well, this is beyond us. Load shedding is the one that affects electricity. It's load shedding that also affects water, and we result in experiencing water cuts. They may also argue that we actually don't even have adequate funding. How do you respond to that, especially given that even if they would have enough funding, the question to be asked would be, do they actually have the proper basic financial systems in place to be handling those funds?
It would be completely irresponsible to give any more funds to these dysfunctional municipalities. They are not providing the services necessary for their residents nor for the businesses to have a flourishing community. It is not a question of not enough money flowing to these municipalities. It's a question of a dysfunctional government, whether through incompetence or through corruption or through some other political stumbling blocks I'm unable to understand. Because we're seeing a crisis that is not only causing a collapse of towns across the country, but will, if it's left untended, lead to a fiscal destabilization of this country through the lack of payments to the utilities such as Eskom and the water boards. It will lead to cascading levels of debt failures to the national treasury. And we will see a movement from the local, from the countryside into the metropolitan areas, which will just shift the pressure and make it even more difficult for the metropolitan areas to perform their duties.
All right. And what relief specifically are you seeking from the court?
We're asking the court not only to mandate higher levels of intervention, as is the maximum constitutionally provided for, but we're asking the court, in this case very significantly, to provide an interim special master. This special master has two important roles we suggest to the court. We're suggesting that first, the special master should undertake to manage the money collected from the residents and from the businesses, pay the required money over to the water boards, over to Eskom, so that that money can flow as it has been paid. And then secondly, to provide for any emergency under management or managing of the, let's say, the electricity network. So the special master has a financial administrative function in the first place. Yeah. And secondly, the special master should compile a list of all corruption and maladministration and provide that to the parties and the respondents for prosecution. We ask the special master because if we only ask for another court order that government should intervene, we've seen for 10 years these towns, the intervention wasn't there. So we're asking the court, as the court has done in the land claims cases and as the court has done with SASSA and OPE, it's now time for the court to provide an interim solution until government performs and not release the money back to them before they actually perform a recovery.
All right. Good luck with that court action. Thank you for making time. Piet le Roux is the CEO of Sakeliga. Let's move